I am not able to forgive the narcissist in my life. I have spent several years reflecting and trying to find peace and forgiveness, both for them and myself, and for anyone else who is affected by any of my decisions or their actions. Why, after several years of trying to move on and find peace, am I still haunted by these people? It's not really the forgiveness that they want. To truly want forgiveness means that you are holding yourself accountable, that you are acknowledging the things you've done wrong. All of us do things that are wrong in our lives. Sometimes we're selfish. We use others. We lie. Not all of us want forgiveness. Those of us who move on from living with or being affected by a narcissist in our lives struggle to find this absolution within ourselves. For me, I find it difficult to forgive myself. I look back and I try to see where my own flaws in decision making and judging character have led to the consequences of my life. I think the narcissist that I was married to knows intellectually how he brought his own life down around him. I think he's able to connect it with things that happened in his childhood and how that affected his decision-making processes as he got older. I think he's able to look back the reasons why that he was removed from positions of authority due to saying things that are inappropriate, even if they were well-intended in his mind. Maybe in his mind they were well-intended. I can't speak for him. All I can say is that this was a pattern. Every time he was given some authority, he seemed to abuse it. And he got formal reprimands, fines, and even demotions towards the end of his military career because of his impulsive words and actions. I don't know if he forgives himself. I don't know if he's capable of that. What he would want from me, I believe, is just supply. When I was forthright with him, when I was fair, and when I finally took my final stand that came with an ultimatum due to something that he did while very drunk. And the fact that I had to endure an entire year of harassment after I left him, I don't think he deserves any kind of... He doesn't deserve forgiveness. He's never really asked for forgiveness. I certainly won't offer it to people who don't deserve it. If there's a tiniest bit of hope that I would come back to him, and believe me, he's tried to come back and hoover me back up again. exploiting weaknesses like depression and get me back in line. It's not going to happen. This is why there's no area for forgiveness. Because even though forgiveness sounds like a unilateral thing, we give it to someone else. In a sense, yes, this is also for ourselves. But what this really is an exchange. Now, whether the person asks for forgiveness, to some people, is not relevant. It's like when victims forgive the perpetrators of something, even though the perpetrator didn't deserve it, didn't ask for it, and showed no remorse. It was for the victim. It was for themselves. I think there's nothing wrong with that, because people who are victimized deserve to find peace. Some of us feel like we put ourselves in danger, that we brought some of this abuse on ourselves. It's very difficult to reconcile our own choices, and if we were complicit, or our poor judgment and the abuse of somebody else. It's difficult for us to reconcile that and to find some kind of peace. How much was them? How much was us? Yeah, I'm mad. So's he. Even after months and months of abuse, death threats, coercion, attempts to manipulate me with family, with money, humiliating me, my family, his family, and himself publicly. I'm mad. There's real life consequences for having married this person, had children with this person, had a life with this person, dealing with my own things that cost me, and my own actions, living with those consequences, but also having to live with the consequences of what he chose to do. I would have been loyal even after our marriage was long dead, because I had made a vow. I was going to carry this person forward, even after I'd been cheated on, even though he had alcoholism that was entering the more advanced stages, while still just being in his mid-30s. For his career completely stalling, and him being given the least amount of responsibility for someone of his rank. Even though, as I developed myself through graduate school, he would belittle me, call me basic, and act like his 10th grade education was equivalent, that he was somehow better than me. How he would say I was a bad person with his drunk, stupid face. Yes, I'm mad. I'm mad I put up with it. I'm mad that I had to put up with it. I'm mad at myself. How could I have such poor judgment in people? And it's not just him. When I left him, I dated another narcissist. And I started to think to myself, as that fell apart as well, and I saw the real, true, mean-spirited character of that person beneath this veneer of civility and gentleness and culture. What does this make me? Am I one too? Am I bait for these people? This does a number. It does a number on your psyche. And I've seen certain areas of my life crumble and deteriorate as well. And I know that a lot of it is due to my own actions. I own that. And it's not necessarily that I'm looking for forgiveness for myself for those actions and those consequences. I don't know if there is absolution to be found. I don't want to blame other people entirely for the conditions of my life. And in some ways, my life is so much better without them. And I would make the same decision to remove them from my life again. Because now I am responsible for myself. And I can at least sleep with some peace knowing that these people cannot affect my life on a daily basis, that they cannot control me, manipulate me, promise me things that would never happen, act superior to me, even when they're basically just scrubs. God. I sold myself short with these people. I could have been more. They could have been more. They're smart people. They had a certain charisma. Well, the second one did. The first one was kind of forceful. Still managed to get people to respect him near the beginning of his career, at least. Now he just glosses over and omits certain things about his career. He puts a public face on that's just not honest. I know that most of us want to put forward, our best qualities. We want to be respected. We want to be liked. And yeah, some of us fake it a little bit. Retouching pictures, making our life look interesting and fun. We travel, we have all these friends. We're better looking than we really are. And I think that's human. It's when it's taken to a pathological level, and when others are hurt. When people break up after a very long time together. So, yeah, I think it's common for both parties to kind of have a setback. Not just financially or, with their material conditions, but also emotionally and mentally. A lot of us struggle. And maybe we find our footing again. Most of us do, I think. At least to some extent. But most of us do not burn our entire world down around us. Like my husband did. The anger, the absolute rage of being left after I told him I would leave if he did not address his drinking. I was honest. I was at my wit's end with him. It was not going to change. And I did give him that final chance, and I am not an ultimatum type of person. But it was getting out of control. I'm responsible as a parent for the well-being of my children. Removing them from his presence and even my presence was the right thing to do. I hate that it had to be done. I hate all the long-term effects that this would have on our family. I hate how he burned down every relationship he ever had. I hate that he threw tantrums and humiliated himself repeatedly on Facebook. I hate that he never even tried. I hate that I stuck around as long as I did, although I'm glad I eventually hatched an escape plan. I'm glad I haven't seen him in years. And if I can help it, I will never see him again. I think that's what he deserves, because that's what he wants the most. I'm mad that he will dangle the prospect of a divorce just to hoover me back in. I hate that type of manipulation. I hate that I've responded to it before. I hate him. I didn't used to be able to hold on to hate. Sometimes I think we need a little bit of it to protect ourselves and others. This is a very uncomfortable thing for people who are not hateful in nature. But I can't allow that kind of person access into my life, access to my family. He deserves exile. And for those of you out there who are dealing with narcissists, sociopaths, abusers, and fakes, you deserve better. Even if you have a past yourself, even if you're complicit in the past, you deserve better. These people don't want your forgiveness. They want access. They want what you give them. They're hollow. Look at the patterns. Do they change over time? No. Even when they make their own lives worse, they sabotage themselves. They burn every bridge. Do they ever get better? Do they ever take these moments of lucid thought and actually connecting the dots of why they do the things they do? Do you ever see any change, any meaningful development? If you do, make sure you see what you're really seeing. I don't want to hate someone forever. But what? The consequences, I hate him for that. And for never changing. I know in his own way he suffers, being exiled like that. Not being respected and having to fake everything. Everything is fake. And I think he's miserable unless he has some kind of supply. An outlet for this simmering bitterness and hatred within him. I don't want that within me. But it's there, and I'm going to use it in ways that I hope empower others. You can be mad. I'm mad. Believe me, the narcissist is mad.